Alright folks, the Hilltop Pillbox was under heavy fire, so we had to relocate to Nerd Haven Games here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And we're going to be playing a game today of the new Anniversary Edition. We're playing the 1941 setup, and we're going to see how it goes. There's Germany's first buy, a bunch of tanks and a couple of men, bought by the nefarious David. So he is going to be playing the Axis, and I will be playing the Allies. And there's a couple other guys who are going to be dropping in and out. A lot of soccer and whatnot going on today, and guys with jobs. But as soon as they can, they're going to drop by, and we will keep you posted as to how the game is going. Axis sucks. Okay, here we are at the end of round one. And boy, the Axis have had their way in many instances here, but a little bit of pushback by the Allies. We'll start over here. The German fleet came up here and sank the destroyer and kind of all huddled together there, but were able to be taken out by the British fleet and their air force. Lost a cruiser and lost a fighter, but and a destroyer, I think. But Germany is no longer in the water. That's probably going to change next round. Down here, Morocco, Algeria traded hands like 4 times this round. The British came and took it, the Italians took it back, and then the Americans came and took it again. Italy just brought a fighter down here to shore things up, and the Germans brought some stuff, a couple of guys from France to take out Algeria there. On the Russian front, the Germans had their way, came flying in, and took all these territories here. But the Russians have built up in Karelia. We'll see if that's wise or not. And the Russians built a couple of men and a fighter and a tank. Germans, of course, built their requisite stack of tanks and a couple of guys. And they bombed England for a massive £1. Over in India here, built a factory and shipped over a couple of guys to shore up Cairo, because Cairo is looking pretty in a lot of trouble here. The Italians still got more stuff to bring down. On this side, the Japanese had some bad luck. Attacked French Indochina, came over into Burma, and their 3 guys died to the one Burma guy, and then the one Burma guy went and took French Indochina. And but the Japanese are pushing through China pretty easily. And the Japanese came up here and took Baratia. So things are looking pretty bleak for the Soviets on their eastern front. Big Japanese fleet came here, but the Britain responded. They took out 3 or 4, I think, of the Japanese transports on the first round. Japan's down to 1 transport. But British attacked here with a man and an infantry and lost, which really stinks, and then just took out the transport there. Over here, the Japanese fleet came and took out the American fleet, but the Americans were able to bring everything back and put their 3 sub build right there and took out the 2 loaded carriers. And they had a 1 in 1296 by getting 4 1s on one of their shots. So that was kind of cool. So there we are at the end of round 1, and we'll see how things look at the end of round 2. Stay tuned. Alright, so here we are at the end of round 2, and we've been joined by Andrew. Okay, go ahead and wave while you're on camera. There you go. And yeah, the Axis are having their way in many, many instances here. But Germany... Oh, we still got a... Oh, I just got to move him back. Bombed them for 6. That was fun. But up in the north here, Germany has lost control of the Scandinavian countries up north. So that's kind of cool, but they're knocking on the door, and lots of tanks roaming around Eastern Europe. Italy, after, again, Morocco, Algeria traded hands. Britain came down and took it, and then Italy took it, and the Americans came to take it and lost. My rolling is my rolling. Cairo's getting bulked up still. Picked up a couple of infantry from down south here in Rhodesia and zipped them up. So Cairo's looking a little better now. I think we're going to hold Cairo. Over here in Russia, the Russians are pretty stocked up, but Moscow's a little thin, so we're going to have to be careful with that. On this side here, the Japanese have been exploiting the lack of Russians and starting to take some more stuff. Chinese, though, Chinese are getting sneaky. Made it all the way to the coast on a couple of spots here, so we'll see how that carries on, but they're way low on troops. The British built their factory in India here and cranking out some armor. The Japanese took Manila and doing pretty well there. You can see though that beyond this fleet, that's it for Japan, and the Americans have decided to sortie out here, and we're gonna put our fighters back on there. So the Americans are making themselves known. We'll see what Japan's answer is for that, and we'll see what happens on turn 3. Alright, here we are at the end of round 3, and as Napoleon said, an army marches on his stomach, so we're going to go get some food. But this is what the board looks like at this point, and things are looking good and bad to the extreme in a few things here. Oh, we didn't put the American build on again. This is on me though. This is on me. Now with the German situation, they got pushed back a little bit. The Russians did the big "Ura!" and they were able to push back the Germans from the gates of Moscow a little bit, but Leningrad's under siege, so we'll see if they can hold there. The Germans decided to build a navy there, right in the middle, and which allowed Britain to then take France, but Italy's been building 2 tanks a turn here because they're just a nickel in this game, and they were able to take back Paris with no trouble at all. And there's a German infantry on an Italian transport that will be hopping off. It looks like they're trying to take Gibraltar. Algeria changed hands again, back and forth, and the American 8th is stationed in Cairo because, hey, why not? Yeah, that's how things are going there. Over here in the subcontinent of India, the tanks are getting cranked out now. The Japanese have been swept away from the mainland, except for their factory up here, and they were thinking of headed up through Siberia, but it looks like they've got some real problems with the Chinese, who actually placed 3 units, because in this version they don't have an economy. They just get 1 troop for every 2 places they own at the start of the US turn. So we had 6 last turn, so they got 3 guys. Japanese, again, they're down to 1 transport. The Americans were perched in C-Zone 58 with their fleet, but the Japanese built another battle wagon, and so the Americans retreated to fight another day, because that would have just gone really badly with 2 tips and a couple of fighters and whatnot. That wouldn't have gone well. So yeah, there we have it. As the board is, not much changed here down here again, because Anzac and Far East Command do not have their economies. So this is a little slow to change, it looks like. But we'll see, that might change on a different game. Alright. Oh, hello. We have friends dropping by, it's awesome. So we are going to go get some lunch, and we'll come back at the end of round 4. Alright, here we are at the end of turn 4. And again, the Axis not looking so good here in Russia and in China, but we'll take a closer look there. Looks like the Russians have solidified St. Petersburg. Moscow is very sparse, but Germany can't get to them there. Coming across here, Gibraltar traded hands a couple of times this round. Lots of fights going here, trying to keep the Italians bottled up, and they're trying to escape, but I think they're in trouble now, because the Mighty 8th is down here in Cairo and just bombed Rome to the tune of $9, so they have $1 to spend next round, so they're in a bit of trouble there. No more 2 tank builds for them. Coming across, didn't build anything in India this time. But we did send up a couple of tanks to help out the Chinese, who were able to place 3 guys again this round. And but looks like Japan is making a bit more of a concerted effort to put some more steel on the continent. Down here, Borneo was liberated by the British, who are now making more money than anyone else in the game, which is extremely rare. But they do have to make that money go around the globe too. Japan built a battleship this round to counter the big fleet that the Americans had parked in '58, so the Americans backed off and planted a transport, and there's a couple guys there possibly to go start liberating Soviet territory, but we'll find out what happens at the end of round 5. Alright, the game is well and truly dead. Looks like the Allies have been able to capture and hold Rome here at the end of the Americans' turn, and the Axis have decided to call it good. The Germans are making quite a bit less, about 10 less than what the Russians are making. And the Japanese, although the Japanese are now starting to rebound a little bit, are now facing a resurgent China and a British factory. And with the Brits having no real concerns over here anymore, they can just do a delaying action. And then the Russians have no fears here. They had a huge battle up here where that huge stack of infantry went after the Baltic states, and the Baltic states fell with just 2 artillery left. So that was a tough battle, but took care of all the German armor. And the Japanese, of course, are very healthy here, but if we look at the production, and we haven't even changed it for the taking of Rome and whatnot, you can see that the British are having a great game in this one. So they were actually able to take the Money Islands here back, even took New Guinea last turn. And there's not a lot the Japanese can do about it right now because the big American fleet over here is keeping the Imperial Japanese Navy at home. But that is the game. We're just going to throw the Chinese on there just so, you know, we'll probably put them on down here. It doesn't matter, the game's over. And but that's it. That's the Anniversary Edition. So thanks a lot for watching, folks. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section about the game. And just know that the guys that were playing the Axis are, this is the first time they've ever played this version of the game. So it was tough to challenge someone who's played this a little bit more. But they are both smiling. Look at the smiles. Smiles? Look at the smiles. Alright. And look at the lovely murals they have in this store. Isn't that lovely? Look at that. They got the whole thing there. Not sure what that is, but it's cool. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot. This is the Hilltop Pillbox signing off from Nerd Haven Games in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada.